For the first time in a long time, this could be the year that the Cincinnati Reds dominate the National League Central.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm Jeff Carr. He's Steve Offenbaker, and we are Locked On Reds, and we're brought to you by MLB The Show 26. Visit MLBTHE.show/Locked On and use the code Locked On to unlock a pack for use in Diamond Dynasty, available now on PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Rated E for everyone. Stay tuned later for this week's MLB Top 100 highlight. Later on in today's show, the Reds unveiled some new food options for this season as they attempt to catch up to the rest of the league. In just a few minutes, we're going to tell you why you should want more than Nick Martinez. But we'll begin with the division title and what it will take for the Reds to get it. Because last year, Steve, I don't know if you know this or not, the Milwaukee Brewers won 97 ball games. The Cubs, they were in second. They won 92 ball games. And even just second place was 9 wins more than what the Reds got. And I think when it comes to this season, understanding the moves that the Brewers made, understanding the moves that the Cubs made, I think the Cubs pretty much stood pat, maybe got a little bit better, but I don't know that it's that much better. I think it'll take 93 wins to win this division this year.
That seems about right to me. And looking at how the Reds can pull that off, they've got to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And that's been a problem for this team for a lot of years now. And you look up and down this division. Last season, the Reds did really, really well against the Chicago Cubs. And on paper, as you just said, the Cubs were a better team, 9 games better, in fact. You look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates got better this offseason, but I don't think they got better than the Reds. And the Reds were already a little bit better than them. So the Reds should win that series as well. Milwaukee has always been a problem for this team. And I think at this point, it really is psychological. I think the Reds see the Brewers on the schedule and everybody just like, well, here we go again. It's the Brewers. They have to get over that. They have to get past that. This is a season where to win this division, that's really where the corner gets turned, Jeff. They have to win the season series against the Milwaukee Brewers. And then that leaves the St. Louis Cardinals. And this is where my concern is. This is the one that concerns me more than anybody else in the division, because this team is historically bad at beating the teams they should beat. And everybody should beat the Cardinals like a drum this year, which gives me pause. It gives me great concern that the Reds are going to go out there and lose every single series against the Cardinals, because that's just what happens around here. But if this team truly is going to compete and win the division, this is where it starts. It's a balanced format now. Everybody plays everybody. It's not like it was in the old days where you have 30 games against your division opponent or whatnot. But they've got to win the division. Being simply 500 is not good enough in a season where you're really trying to change the narrative and turn a corner and be that division winner that this city is really hungry for.
And I think that we have plenty of examples of struggling with teams like St. Louis, because we have examples of the Reds facing the Pirates. The Reds have just like last year was the first year the Reds beat the Pirates in their season series in something like 4 or 5 seasons. Mm-hmm. And I think that would shock a lot of people, because we as Reds fans like to stand, out in the Budweiser bar and just say, shut up, the Pirates. At least we're better than they are. But they keep winning season series against us. So it's really annoying to think about how they match up against teams that they should beat. And overall, when you look at how the Reds did against the division last year, they were exactly who they were all season long. Because we said from games 1 through 162, it kind of felt like we were telling people the Reds are going to do the thing, but they're going to do it in the most annoying way possible. The Reds didn't have a losing record against the division last year. They also didn't have a winning record against the division last year, as they were 26-26. So they've got to just be better than 500. Beat the teams that you should beat, and the teams you should beat are the teams in your division. And it's tough because you're right. Pirates got better. Cubs, I don't think they got astronomically better, because you replaced Kyle Tucker with Alex Bregman. Edward Cabrera is a better pitcher than what they have had in the past, but we're also seeing some struggles from guys like Jameson Taillon and Matthew Boyd, at least when it comes to how they've been pitching this spring. But I think that ultimately you're going to look at the Cubs and say, we expect them to win 90 ball games. And they could probably stretch and win 95, or things could go wrong and they could win 85. Definitely don't expect them to be a losing ball club. The Cubs are probably going to be up at the top of this division. The Brewers, I just don't know. Like, I don't expect them to win 97 ball games anymore, but they keep finding these guys that we've never heard of before, like Isaac Collins. I get it. Isaac Collins is in Kansas City now. But, like, remember Isaac Collins from last year? You shouldn't, but you probably should based on his performance. But we've literally never heard of him before last year, and he's not on the Brewers team this year. So it tells you everything you need to know about these guys. The Brewers figure out how to get the best out of Joe Schmo and then send him back in somewhere else, and then they churn in another Joe Schmo. And so I just don't know how to like correctly evaluate them. They kind of feel like that team that's up there until somebody knocks them off.
So it's interesting because if you look at the Brewers, and I think this is a fair analysis of the Brewers and their offseason and the differences between their 2025 team and their 2026 team. I think the Brewers are about 7 or 8 games worse than they were last season. That's still a 90-win ball club. Right. That's still a 90-win ball club, though, Jeff. They lose. They're 7 games worse. They win 90 games. I think the Chicago Cubs have held the line. I think that they didn't gain, but they didn't lose. They just replaced, right? So that's a 90-win ball club. I think the Reds got about 8 games better with the bullpen additions, with Geno in the lineup, with some real power on this team. That's a 90-win ball club. This division race is going to be very, very interesting. And this is why they cannot afford to mess things up against the Pirates, and they cannot afford to mess things up against the Cardinals. We talk about dominating the division, but really, whatever team can just be above 500 in the division games and then go handle their business the rest of the way wins this division, I think. So I'm kind of looking forward to how this is going to play out, because I think it's a 3-horse race that's going to come down to, maybe that final road series, maybe that, it could be right down to the wire, Jeff.
And that's going to be tough because the month of September is just going to be a ridiculous slog, and the Reds are going to need to have some sort of lead in the division before they get to that point. But even just the start of the season, I was talking with Sam from Locked On Cubs the other day. We were just kind of looking at the schedule for both the Cubs and the Reds and just like how this works out, because the Cubs and the Reds don't play each other for a little bit. But like the Reds start off the season with a really fun opening series against the Red Sox, and then right after them come the Pirates. And so it's like you can have a little bit of fun for 3 games, and hopefully you win 2 out of 3 against Boston. But then comes the series that you got to take seriously, because they're going to see Paul Skeens, at least as long as everything goes according to plan with 5 days rest and injuries and all this other stuff. Paul Skeens will pitch in that 3rd game. And there's a couple of new guys that we'll see. Well, I think we saw Braxton Ashcraft last year, but also not Johan Oviedo, wrong guy, Jose Urquidy, which was a guy who pitched for the Astros for a number of years. He's going to be pitching for the Pirates now. So there's going to be some interesting pitching matchups on top of the fact that the Pirates lineup is better. And as we talk about the Brewers and the Cubs being 90-win ball clubs, I don't think that the Pirates are a 90-win ball club, but they're probably a 500 ball club, like 80, 82, 83 wins. And so you're not talking about that pushover that the Pirates used to be, that the Reds never took advantage of. And now they're going to have dogfights whenever they go up against the Pirates. So it's going to be tough any way you slice it. And then you put a little bit added pressure on the Cardinals games where it's like they're not as bad as the White Sox were in the last couple of years, but one of the things that the Detroit Tigers did so well in the last couple of seasons was they dominated the Chicago White Sox in the AL Central. And so whoever dominates the St. Louis Cardinals in the NL Central this year is probably going to be that team that takes home the division crown at the end of all.
You mean the Chicago White Sox aren't a world beater? I recall them sweeping teams like the Cincinnati Reds in 2025.
Well, yeah, as long as we're not celebrating
to our point, our
point
point about winning the games that you should win. There's a series you can point to last year that was just an absolute train wreck that they can't have this year. And looking at the games with like the St. Louis Cardinals, those games now in a normal fan base, in a normal situation, those are throwaway games that you don't pay a whole lot of attention to, right? Like, these are the games they should win. They're going to go out, they'll win 2 of 3, they'll win 3 of 4, easy. Not around here. And these are games I think we're going to be focused on to see if this team truly is built a little bit different and wins those games handily the way that they should. Those are going to be the things we're watching for. Those are going to be the things that make the difference in the 2026 baseball season. Interesting narrative developing out there, Jeff, where people just always seem to want what they can't have, and they always want to be nostalgic. And now we're being nostalgic for Nick Martinez. And coming up, we're going to tell you why you should want more in the Cincinnati Reds pitching staff than Nick Martinez. That's coming up next.
It's time for this week's MLB Top 100 highlight that is brought to you by MLB The Show 26, the latest from the beloved video game franchise. Each week, we're highlighting the stars of MLB's Top 100 players list as given you by Locked On, the elite names that you'll be playing with and building your franchise around and going head-to-head in MLB The Show. Today, we're spotlighting Andrew Abbott and his ranking in the top 100 for the Cincinnati Reds. Coming in at number 90, I was happy to see that he made the top 100 list. Had a great year last year, and I think with another great year in 2026, we will just see him climb up the rankings because folks outside of Cincinnati don't know how good that Andrew Abbott can be. He's going to show Boston on opening day. I have no doubts about that. When it comes to your favorite players like Andrew Abbott and so much more, you can play with all of them on MLB The Show 26. It's out now. Plus, you can get a free pack for use in Diamond Dynasty. Just go to MLBTHE.show/lockedon and use the promo code LOCKEDON for that free pack. Boost your team now. Go get MLB The Show 26. It's available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch, and it's rated E for everyone. And it's tournament time, and FanDuel is the place to go when you're ready to put in your college basketball parlays because they got a profit boost on those college basketball parlays right now. Oh, and by the way, great time to put in your MLB futures bet as we are 1 week away from opening day. And right now I'm looking at Elly De La Cruz because Elly is healthy. We have seen the power. We have seen the speed. We've seen the awesome star power that he brings to the diamond every single day, all throughout spring training, and he is ready to go off in a major way in 2026. And right now you can get a major value on him on FanDuel because FanDuel has his season total home runs over under set at 23.5. I think he's going to smash that. He's liable to hit 30, maybe even more than 30. He's going to smash that over, and you should too over on FanDuel. That's over 23.5 home runs for Elly De La Cruz in 2026. That's over on FanDuel. Check out the FanDuel app today. FanDuel, play your game.
We know you live this team every single day, and we know you're an everydayer. Thanks for being here. Up your game just a little bit. Join the Everydayer Club. If you would like ad-free, uninterrupted Locked On Reds, well, check out our Everydayer Club. Over in the audio feed, you get ad-free Locked On Reds. No interruptions at all. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. $5 a month, $50 a year gets you access to the ad-free version of the show. Plus, you're going to get access to the Discord server where not only Jeff and I will be talking ball all year long, but every host of every show of the entire Locked On network has a channel in there. You can talk ball to your heart's content with the Everydayer Club. Check it out today. The link is also down in the show description. All right, Jeff, I don't know how we got here, but here is where we are. People are longingly, nostalgically, heartfeltly missing Nick Martinez. And I think, you know what it is, Jeff? We have reached the part of spring training where the storylines have played out, where guys get a little bit nicked or their arms get a little bit tired and things are happening and we're not quite to opening day yet. And everybody is looking for A, something to talk about, and B, something to panic about. And those stars have aligned. We're panicked about the rotation. Starting pitching is going to be a little wonky. We're taking 6 guys to Cincinnati. And God, if we just had Nick Martinez to pitch every other day out of the bullpen and then start, this team would be complete.
We need more than Nick Martinez, and we have more. in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong. I like Nick Martinez. I like what he gave to the Reds these last couple of seasons. I thought he was a lot of fun. There's two reasons why this doesn't make any sense. Number one, the Reds have lots of talent in their starting rotation. So I get it. Different guys are hurt. There's issues with Brady Singer and maybe a blister issue. I talked about this yesterday. Worst case scenario, I think maybe he misses 2 starts. It's probably better than that. Maybe he only misses 1 start. And so we want Nick Martinez really, really bad for 1 start. Okay. But then you also talk about, well, Nick Martinez, he could do both. He could pitch in the bullpen. He could pitch in the starting rotation. He was awesome at that. Yeah. He's 1-on-1. I don't know a lot of other guys that can do that as well as he did. And we all remember that stretch of games where he pitched 4 times in 10 days. And on the 4th game, he was 1 out away from a no-hitter. And we're like, boy, oh boy, how about that? Even Nick Martinez wasn't that good when you zoom out for the rest of the season. Steve, his season last year was fine. 165 innings. He had a 4.45 ERA, providing both relief and starting appearances for the Reds. That's fine. But what we look at in a pitcher these days is we look at guys who not only miss barrels, but miss bats. And in fact, Derek Johnson has even said like he prefers a guy that missed bats, although missing barrels is good too. Nick Martinez didn't miss a whole lot of bats. We talk about strikeouts per 9 quite a lot. He had 6.3 strikeouts per 9. Like he was a fine pitcher. Don't get me wrong. But want more than fine. Want good. Want great. Reds have potential to have good and great pitchers. Like even Chase Petty yesterday in the breakout, the spring breakout game, the prospects thing where the Reds prospects got to play in a game altogether. Chase Petty threw 4 shutout innings and topped 102 on the gun. I want more of that on this Red starting staff.
Yeah, Chase Petty brought the heat in that particular game. Listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing with Nick Martinez. And again, I think it's where we're at in spring training. I think it's where we're at waiting for there to be real games. And, you know, and also this is where we're seeing a little bit of the impacts of the fact that in the year of our Lord 2026, the Cincinnati Reds still can't figure out how to get their spring training games on TV for people to watch and see. So because people have not seen with their own eyes the additions to this Reds bullpen. Trust me when I tell you that the 2026 Cincinnati Reds bullpen is better than the 2025 Cincinnati Reds bullpen. It is a better bullpen. You're going to see that play out over 162 games once this season starts. And some point in time, you'll be like, who's Nick Martinez? Nick Martinez who? You won't remember, you won't care because this bullpen is going to be good. The starting pitching is going to be good. We know what we've got. And yes, I know people are tweaked and arms are tired and there's range of motion issues and all of these code word clearance things that we're using when we talk about Reds pitching right now. But this bullpen is good. This pitching staff is good. This rotation is dangerous. This pitching staff is good, folks. Just give it a minute. Everybody take a breath. But the people that are out there right now going, the Red, they should have signed I can't believe they didn't sign Martinez. This is not the right narrative. More of the same is not the right answer. And everybody finally got that, including the people that make the decisions for this ball club. So more of the same is not always good. And in this case, I like what the Reds did. I like what they did with the pitching staff.
I just think it's weird because, I mean, I was asked about this when I was talking with Lance on his show the other day, and I've seen, people in the comment section talking about Nick Martinez or Zach Littell. Nick Martinez was also better than Zach Littell, but yes, either way, like the whole point is the pitching staff is better this year. And yes, there are a few injuries, but I still think that they are better off than where they were last season. And the other part about this that's funny is that there was an article written by Gordon Whitmire. Actually, I think it came out today talking about, oh boy, how much do the Reds miss Nick Martinez now? Yeah. All the regular season games that they've played and definitely need start. That hasn't started yet. And we're doing this whole thing where we compare one thing to another, and there is no part of the other thing that we can compare to. We cannot compare this Reds pitching staff this year to what they had last year yet, because this year hasn't happened. And so before we even start this year, we're already saying that it's worse. That is the most defeatist thing, and it's a very Cincinnati sports thing to do. But I think it's hilarious because Terry Francona said this perfectly when it comes to Nick Martinez. He said, quote, and this is in Gordon's article, he said, quote, if you ask every manager in the big leagues, they'd like to have a utility player that plays everywhere and is really good and a guy that you can move around on your pitching staff. I don't know if that's always doable. Steve, even Terry Francona understands Nick Martinez was one of one.
Well, there's
not
30. There's not 30 of those guys out there. There's just not 30 of those guys out there.
Because that's the other part, right? Like people are like, well, who can fill that Nick Martinez role? Nick Martinez created that role. That is his role. Like I know that Zach Littell kind of did it a little bit, but I don't think that he did it as well as people think that he did. Like Nick Martinez was Nick Martinez. And I don't think Chase Burns fills that role. I heard that point said the other day.
No.
I think Chase Burns is supposed to be 7-inning starting guy. They just got to work him up to that. They don't think his pitch count's ready for that. It's going to be ready for that soon. Mm-hmm. He's going to be far more valuable to this team as that guy than as Nick Martinez. So stop trying to put Chase Burns in the bullpen. Stop trying to put other people in the bullpen. If they're good starting pitchers, keep them in the starting rotation.
Yep, I completely agree. Listen, I was on I did a spot on Ohio Sports Magazine this week, and we were talking about the uniqueness that the pitching staff here early on is going to be. We talked about this, you and I, with this extra starter and the piggybacking of 3 pitchers in 2 slots. This is going to be very interesting. It's a different evolving role. Nick Martinez developed a different evolving role, and he took his show on the road. He signed with somebody else. He's not available. He's not on this team. The Reds are going to do things differently again. They're going to adapt. They're going to adjust. Someone's going to establish themselves. And I promise that before we get through this season, we'll be in a better place than we would have been if Nick Martinez had been a utility guy on this Reds pitching staff. It's a good problem to have when you've got the extra arms and you're trying to figure out unique ways to get everybody involved and keep your best guys on the team. That's where the Reds are. That's the direction they're moving. It's going to be unique. We're going to all figure it out together. Derek Johnson's going to earn his dollars here early on, trying to juggle all of this. And I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out. And I don't, this article, this is what happens when you let a Chicago Cubs beat writer have a byline in the Cincinnati Enquirer. You get weird stuff. And we've got weird stuff. No, we don't miss Nick Martinez.
No, the Reds have better than Nick Martinez. So stop wanting worse. All right, coming up next, Steve, the Reds have added some new things to the menu in their ongoing efforts to catch up to the rest of the league. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood Prediction Markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets change the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way of applying that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You are no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you find the people who actually fit what you're looking for, the skills, the experience, the location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's the stat that says it all. For the minute that I'll be talking to you, companies like yours make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of Locked On Reds are going to get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support Locked On Reds by saying you heard about Indeed on Locked On Reds. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
You can keep the conversation going with us after the show is over on social media. You can follow me at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. You can follow Steve at S. Offenbaker with 2 Fs. And you can follow the show at Locked On Reds, and that's on all of the different social media platforms out there. All right, Steve, it's that time of year. We're getting so close. Less than a week, 6 days to opening day, and we officially have the brand new food items that the Reds are adding to the list. And there are 14 items, though I would dispute some of these seem like, just we spun it in a different direction, and it's very much the same thing, or it's a little bit different. And I don't mean to be critical about something fun, but just for a moment, when it comes to all these new items, the Reds are trying to catch up. Make no mistake about it. I've been to some other stadiums, and I used to think that the Reds had some pretty good food options. And then I went to other stadiums like San Francisco, and I saw how far behind the Reds are, because if you think about, and I would ask anybody in the comment section too, if you think about food specifically at the ballpark, what is the first thing that you think of? It is not stadium specific. And maybe one of these items stands out and becomes that, but I cannot get to that point with Reds games as far as food goes. You know me, I love my food. The food at Great American Ballpark, it's fine. We're fine here now. How are you?
It's not even that. It's not even that we're fine here. It's that we're I tell you this all the time. Like I don't eat at the ballpark because the things that they have at the ballpark are available outside of the ballpark and generally cheaper and better outside of the ballpark. So I'll just get them on the way to the ballpark. I like some of those things they're adding. Let's dive into what they're doing. They're trying to lean into the barbecue a little bit. This is popular nationwide. There are lots of stadiums throughout the country that do really good barbecue, have really good things. For the Cincinnati Reds, they're adding burnt ends to the menu. I think this will probably be a big seller. That's the one I think that caught my attention the most. That's the one I will go to the ballpark and try. The food game has to be elevated right now. In my opinion, anyway, the best thing that you can get in the ballpark is a 50 West burger. And once again, I can get that at 50 West and then head over to the ballpark. So I like that there's something that I can get there that is not necessarily available everywhere. And be able to enjoy it at the ballpark. So that's going to be the first thing I try, Jeff. That's the one that jumped out at me. Give me some of the burnt ends. I will definitely have a review of that the first time I have it.
Yeah, and I think that they've added a couple of items, like if you're like a little bit more leaning on like vegetarian stuff, but quite frankly, that's going from 0 to 1 on a scale of 10. So they're still definitely catching up there. But the other stuff, like I'm interested in the GLT, get a lettuce and tomato. That's interesting. Gleer's get a nachos. If I can just stand on a soapbox for a minute, the Cyclones have that. So, welcome to what the Cyclones have been selling for a while. And there's some things that do interest me a little bit, but then you get to things like, I don't know, like the Frito chili fry box. Like that is one of the vegetarian options, but one of the things that they're putting on that is Fanacho cheese sauce. Like, okay, yeah. Queen City Classic Burger, double all beef smash burger topped with American cheese, special sauce, lettuce, and tomato on a potato. Okay, that's a burger. Like, fine. It's cool. Do better. I think what I want to do is just challenge the Reds. Come up with a signature item that is you. Like the Giants have garlic fries. There's different things that you can go get at different stadiums. And if I can make a few people mad for a minute, I low-key think the Pirates have better barbecue than we do. The Manny Sanguian barbecue out there in right field, man, like that's something the Reds are just trying to catch up when it comes to food. And you're right. Like eating before you get to the ballpark, I think has kind of become a staple to a lot of Reds fans, because when you think about what you can get at the ballpark, I think most people kind of gravitate toward just the classics, right? You get a hot dog, you get a brat, you get a beer, you get a cold beverage, whatever that might be. And maybe you go crazy and you get yourself a Coney, but then you've also got yourself a mess. And God help you if you do the thing that I did a couple of years ago and you try the Sky Rosa at the ballpark. Get lots of napkins. But I think just ultimately there's a lot of things that are Cincinnati specific that are in the ballpark. but not really ballpark specific. And I want to see more of that.
Yeah, and you can find ways to, even if you take things from your city. You know who's really good at this is the Padres. The street tacos at Petco Park are amazing. They are so good. And, you know, those kind of things. If you're going to bring something in that is, you know, available in your city, do it better, do it well, do it amazingly. San Diego's did that. The Reds really haven't added anything and had those adjectives to go along with it. So that's what I'm looking for. I mean, I'm excited to be back in the ballpark. Don't get me wrong. I just, there's nothing that's going to keep me from being like, we don't have to stop on the way down there. We don't have to go post up before the game somewhere and do a thing. I'm going to keep doing that until the Reds come up with something that's a hook, something that they do that's special. And when they do, I'm all in on it. But I don't think they've done that yet. I will try the burnt ends, but beyond that, they haven't got me yet.
And worth note, if you're a barbecuer like myself, the burnt ends are actually like made of some sausage. They're not made of brisket or pulled pork. They are a sausage burnt end. So that'll be interesting to try. More familiar with the brisket burnt ends, but still looking forward to games. We are less than a week away here. As I hope you got your tickets. Make sure you jump on Game Time if you haven't. Use that promo code Locked On to get your $20 off. But it's going to be so much fun. Thank you, though, for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. Make sure that you are subscribed and you follow us everywhere you get your podcast, because we're going to be with you every single day. And, of course, as the season gets going, Tim Daniel will be back with the Reds postcast right after the games are over. And then we'll be talking about everything else with you on the daily show and so much more coming your way. Reds content for days, literally every day, all throughout the season. Subscribe now. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hold on. We've got a great 24/7 streaming feed from all of Locked On, covering the biggest stories in all of sports. Something tells me they will be covering the tournament. I know that there's a lot of fun stuff going on right now. North Carolina's out. Interesting. But if you check out the Locked On 24/7 feed, you're going to see all of that and more. Or if you're listening on your favorite app, make sure you check out Locked On MLB with Sully, or the Back to the Bullpen show with Brett Chansey and former Reds relief pitcher Mike Stanton. They have got the player's view of everything going on around the league. But that'll do it for Steve and myself. You know that we will be Locked On Reds every single day.
Let's make barbecue.
Yeah, I'm hungry now.